Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome all the viewers, all the participants to today's program arranged by Imamia Medics International Women's Wing. By the name of Cancer Awareness Series, this is our very first session, and we shall begin this session with the recitation of holy verses from the Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. The translation. In the name of God, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy. Praise belongs to God, Lord of the worlds, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy. Master of the day of judgment. It is you we worship. It is you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, those who incur no anger and who have not gone astray. Sadaqallahul Azim. Welcome once again all the audience and the participants to today's program, the first session of Cancer Awareness Series. We begin this session by inviting the Global Chair of IMI Women's Wing, Dr. Huma Naqvi. Dr. Huma Naqvi is the Global Chair of IMI Women's Wing from 2020 to the present, overseeing all the events and major projects. Dr. Naqvi is an assistant professor at Albert Einstein College of Medicine, New York. She also spearheads IMI's physical medicine and rehabilitation project in Iraq. She has also served as IMI's global president. I request and invite Dr. Huma Naqvi to please join us and introduce the Cancer Awareness Series. Over to you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Varda, for the beautiful recitation. And thank you all the listeners and viewers for our very first Imamia Medics International Women Wing Cancer Awareness Series program. So we are very delighted to announce this upcoming series of cancer awareness programs, which will include various topics and various types of cancers, awareness, knowledge, information program once a month with various physicians and scientists. And it's going to be an interactive program with question and answers, and you'll be able to post your questions on the YouTube and the Facebook. So as we see around us that the number of cases of different various type of cancers has been increasing, which is causing an extensive burden on families in the community, not only emotionally, physically, socially, but the financial burden and the anxiety level increases. The rate of cancer, which is according to the American Cancer Society, expected to rise to 1.9 million in 2023. So we can imagine that the level of information and knowledge needed for this type of extensive disease is very much the need of the time. Therefore, we thought that we will design a program which would provide a lot of information about the screening, the cancer prevention strategies, which will include the various topics of cancer, which will give us awareness that how we can go into the pre-cancerous or early cancer detection strategies, or how we can modify our lifestyle, our diet, our exercise pattern, and genetic testing. Because when the cancer is diagnosed in a family, there's a major concern by the family members that what is next, how we can be prevented or how we can protect ourselves. So genetic testing has becoming a big part of it. So we'll have an expert talking about it. Then we have environmental toxicology, which is we see around us. and we will bring an expert who can talk about it. So we are very excited to present this series with a variety of speakers and knowledgeable people among us, which will be sharing our knowledge. So today is the very first lecture series, and we are very humble and happy to have Dr. Wahida Karmally with us, who has been sharing her knowledge with Imamia Medics International and the rest of the world globally for many, many years. So we are happy and thankful to her that she's here with us. And I also thankful to to Dr. Minahil Jafri, who will be coordinating this webinar today. And I'm also thankful to the entire my media team and our coordinators, Varda and headquarter people, to put this program together. So let's, without any further ado, I will request Varda to introduce and take the program to the next level. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Huma. So from here on, I would introduce and invite Sister Manahil. Dr. Sayyida Manahil Haider Jafri is a medical graduate from Ziauddin Medical College, Pakistan. She is ECFMG certified and currently working as a postdoctoral research fellow at Yale School of Medicine while applying for residency. Over to you, Sister Manahil, please continue.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and good morning. Thank you, Varda, for the introduction. So happy to be here today. And I would like to welcome everyone to our series, the beginning of our series on cancer. So with that said, I would like to introduce our guest speaker for today, who is very well renowned and is so. Let's welcome her. She is Dr. Karmally. She earned her Doctor of Public Health in Health Policy and Management from the Columbia University's Mailman School of Public Health. She is a certified diabetes care and education specialist and diplomat of the ACCL and is recognized as a fellow of the National Lipid Association. She is currently an associate editor for the Journal of Clinical Lipidology, and she has published in peer-reviewed journals. Dr. Karmally received the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics 2012 Excellence in Practice. She represented there and in 2015 in the 2015 Nutrition Mega Event in Brazil. She was the 2018 medallion recipient for the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Prior to her retirement, she was the director of Bionutrition Core in the Irving Institute for Clinical and Translational Research at Columbia University for over 30 years. She was on the faculty in the College of Dental Medicine and College of Physicians and Surgeons, Columbia University, Irving Medical Center. We are very delighted to have her amongst us today, and she is going to be talking to us on our topic today, which is lifestyle behaviors, which increase the risk of different types of cancer. And as we know, cancer is the second most leading cause of death in the US. It's a very pertinent topic. 40% of our deaths are very preventable. So with that said, I would like to hand over the talk to Dr. Wahida, and yeah, over to you, Dr. Wahida.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Dr. Jafri, for your kind introduction. We all, I'm sure, know that a healthy lifestyle is associated with an increased life expectancy free of cancer. What we are seeing in the literature is Indian and Pakistani women with breast cancer were more likely to be diagnosed at a younger age and at more advanced stages of the disease. We also read that colorectal cancer is one of the most common forms of cancer in South Asian men and women. Despite the rates of colorectal cancer in South Asians, the screening rates remain low in South Asians and especially in Muslims compared with those in whites and other ethnic minorities in the United States. And we also know that oral cancer is a growing problem worldwide, with high incidence rates in South Asian countries. With increasing numbers of South Asian immigrants in developed countries, a possible rise in oral cancer cases is expected given the high prevalence in their source countries and the continued oral cancer risk behaviors of immigrants. So here are my disclosures. And what I'm going to do today is discuss the modifiable risk factors for cancer prevention, review lifestyle strategies to lower the risk for cancer, and discuss eating patterns to lower risk for cancer. What the research is showing us is this is from the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, which were published in 2020. 6 in 10 adults are living with one or more diet-related chronic diseases. So the foods and beverages we consume have a profound impact on our health. And the reason we are having these diet-related chronic diseases is because of the poor quality of our dietary patterns and physical inactivity. So when it comes to cancer, it is the second leading cause of death in the United States and globally behind heart disease. So people with cancer also often experience physical effects from the cancer itself and from treatments, as well as distress and a lower quality of life. And quality of life can also be affected for family members, people who are caregivers, and also friends of people with cancer. So what we know is healthy lifestyle behaviors are a fundamental aspect of cancer prevention. So what is cancer prevention? It is the action we take to lower the chance of getting cancer. And the American Cancer Society projects more men and women will die from lung and colorectal cancer compared to any other cancer in 2023. And we also know the risk factors that a person can control are called modifiable risk factors. So it's within us to be able to look into what these risk factors are in order to prevent or lower the risk for getting cancer. So here are the Life's 8 Essential. This was put out by the Presidential Advisory from the American Heart Association. And what you're going to be listening to is the commonalities for these various chronic diseases, be it cancer, be it cardiovascular disease, and the risk factors, diabetes. So we have to make sure we have a healthy eating pattern, we are active, make sure our blood glucose is within normal range. A lot of emphasis on body weight. There's an increase in obesity all over the world. And also watch for other risk factors for heart disease, like your cholesterol level, check your blood pressure, absolutely no cigarette smoking, and get enough sleep. And a lot of people are not getting enough sleep, and that has an effect on your health. So we're also seeing that as we get older, there are more rates of cancer. It doesn't mean that if you're young or a child, you can eat whatever you want and you'll be healthy. No, because cancer takes a long time to develop. So healthy eating habits and healthy lifestyle habits have to start very early in life. So what does the Quran say about eating? Food has a great significance in Islam. It is associated with one's relationship with God. And this you will find in chapter 20, verse 81, which says, "Eat of the good and wholesome things that we have provided for your sustenance, but indulge in no excess therein." So Islam has created a sense of responsibility in people to make healthy lifestyle as normal. So for most Americans who do not smoke, the most important cancer risk factors can be changed are body weight, diet, physical activity. At least 80% of all cancers diagnosed in the US are related to excess body weight, physical inactivity, excess alcohol consumption, and poor nutrition. And all these can be prevented. And healthy eating patterns reduced risk of dying from any cancer, from any cause, as well as cancer, 13 to 27%. So because we have such a high prevalence of diabetes in our communities, I thought this would be of interest to our audience. This is a pooled data from the United States, the United Kingdom, and China, looking at over 92,000 individuals with diabetes. So what it showed was that among these individuals, those with the healthiest lifestyles had 27% and 45% lower risk of cancer, morbidity, and mortality, respectively. So adherence to combined healthy lifestyles is associated with lower risk of total cancer, morbidity, and mortality, as well as lower risk of several cancer subtypes in individuals with diabetes. So diabetes itself is a risk factor for heart disease, and if it can be compounded by the chances of getting cancer with unhealthy lifestyles. So obesity, I think we need to pay a lot of attention to obesity starting from childhood. In fact, we have now new guidelines even for children to prevent overweight and obesity in children. So there is a consistent evidence that higher amounts of body fat are associated with an increased risk of a number of cancers. And there are different reasons, because fat tissue produces excess amounts of estrogen, which is a hormone, high levels of which has been associated with increased risk of breast, endometrial, ovarian, and other cancers. And people with obesity have increased blood levels of insulin and insulin-like growth factor 1. And these factors can promote the development of colon, kidney, prostate, and endometrial cancers. And people with obesity often have chronic inflammatory conditions such as gallstones, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which progresses on to become liver cancer. So these conditions can cause oxidative stress, which leads to the DNA damage and increase the risk of biliary cancer as well as other cancers. And also fat cells produce certain hormones called adipokines, and these can inhibit or stimulate cell growth. So leptin, which is increased when body weight increases, has an effect on cell growth, and which can become cancerous. And if you don't have as much fat in the body, then there is another adipokine called adiponectin, which can have prevents cell growth. So it protects you against tumor growth. So fat cells may also have direct and indirect effects on other cell growth and metabolic regulators. So look at this picture. Here we have a Caucasian and a South Asian. They have the same body mass index, which is a measure of their height in meters and weight in kilograms. But if you look at the body fat, the South Asian has 21.2% and the Caucasian has 9.1%. Actually, I know this person, John Yudkin. I was studying at Queen Elizabeth College in the UK, and he was the head of my department. And this is a very a slide that's been used by many people to show that South Asians need to be careful, even if your body mass index is equal to another person, a non-Asian person, because we can at the same time have more body fat. So here's a picture looking at a protruding belly, and this is very important to get a waist circumference, which is associated with risk for not only heart disease, diabetes, but also cancers. And studies have shown that obesity is linked to a higher risk of postmenopausal breast cancer. It's never too late to lose weight, even after diagnosis of breast cancer, because it can lower the risk for other complications, as well as have an effect on life expectancy. Colorectal cancer, endometrial, esophageal, kidney, pancreatic, gallbladder, as well as liver. So what are some of the other factors that we have to look at? One thing is charred meat. I know everybody loves to eat their kebabs and chicken tikkas and whatnot, but when you're charring the meat, you're developing what's called carcinogens, which are heterocyclic amines, HCS, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. These are the chemicals that are formed when you take meat and you cook using high temperatures or directly on meat on heat, such as pan frying or grilling over an open flame. So these HCAs and PAHs have been found to be mutagenic. That is, they can cause changes in the DNA that may increase the risk of cancer. You may also have heard of acrylamide. Acrylamide can also, it's not conclusive, but it's been considered as a potential carcinogen. Acrylamide is found, it's an amino acid asparagine, which is found in potatoes. And when you heat it in the presence of carbohydrate, it becomes a compound called acrylamide, which has been shown in rodents to be a carcinogen. So it's very important not to, again, have too many French fries and make sure you don't have a toast that's like kind of burnt, because then you're increasing the intake of acrylamide. Alcohol is been established as a carcinogen, oral cancer, esophageal cancer, breast cancer, colorectal cancer, as well as liver cancer. And people who don't get enough vegetables and fruits, don't have enough color on their plates, again, because vegetables and fruits are powerhouses of antioxidants. And it's really important to make sure even half your plate is filled with different colored vegetables, be it tomatoes, carrots, even the white vegetables, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, whatever you want, but bring a lot of color on your plate. And this would definitely is very protective. There are so many studies showing the beneficial effects of eating vegetables and fruits of different colors. Red meats are also not recommended. So it's really important to cut back intake of beef and lamb so that you don't get all the fat in those red meats, which is a lot of it is saturated fat. Fructose is also important to consider. When you're having all these sodas with the high fructose corn syrup, it has an effect on the liver, causing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which can progress on to liver cancer. So again, kids, I see a lot of kids drinking these sodas with containing sugar, which is really the high fructose corn syrup in it. Not that sugar, table sugar is good for you. It's not good for you either. But it's really important to make sure that the children drink water or add some lemon juice to water to make it interesting. Ultra-processed foods are also considered to be carcinogenic. So again, we need to pay attention to how we have our food. When you have food from fast food places, a lot of it is ultra-processed, even sausages, even if they're halal, they are ultra-processed, so we should keep away from them. So these are the guidelines from the dietary guidelines for Americans. What it says is follow a healthy dietary pattern at every life stage. And then you customize to make it according to your cultural traditions and what your budget can afford. Also focus on meeting all the different food groups so that they have a lot of nutrients in them rather than being inadequate in nutrients. And also stay within the caloric limits needed for your body weight, your activity. And also limit foods and beverages that are high in sugars, added sugars. You will find in the food label also included is or how much added sugars in it. if you look at a can of soda, one can of soda has 40 grams of sugar in it. What is 40 grams? That's like adding 10 teaspoons of sugar in 12 ounces of liquid. So do you ever use 10 teaspoons of sugar in a cup of tea? You don't, but when you drink a can of soda, you're getting 10 teaspoons of sugar. So I have some pictures there, the Mediterranean diet, which is the top one. As you see, there's a lot of color there, lots of vegetables, fruits, there's fish, there's some chicken, but there's no red meat. And the cooking oil is extra virgin olive oil. And the extra virgin olive oil also has antioxidants in it. It has the skin of the olive. So it's very healthy oil to include in cooking as well as in your salads. And below it is what's called the DASH diet. It's been studied to show that it has a significant effect on lowering blood pressure. And again, you see the base of this pyramid is vegetables and fruits. Then over it is the whole grain. So rather than eating white bread, eat whole wheat bread, eat quinoa, eat amaranth, eat those whole grains. And then you can add on fish or chicken without the skin for protein, as well as using nuts. And of course, sweets should be, had only on certain occasions. So let's look at the different fats that we use in cooking, because we know there is a dietary guideline which has a lot of evidence that we should cut back on saturated fat. Now, at the extreme end, the red bar is saturated fat. It's found in coconut oil, in the butter, a palm oil, and you see a lot of products that come from South Asian countries have palm oil in it, which is also very saturated. But look at coconut oil. A lot of people are being misinformed that coconut oil is good for you, is good to prevent dementia. What I tell them is, you probably will not get dementia because you're going to get heart disease first, because it's going to raise your bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol. And it's also not a good fat when you're trying to prevent cancer. So what we should have, the blue bars show that it's a polyunsaturated fat, and it's called the omega-6 fatty acids. The yellow bars are like the oleic acid, the omega-9 fatty acids, which is the one that's in the extra virgin olive oil. And the purple bars are the ones that are called the omega-3 fatty acids, called the eicosapentaenoic and the docosahexaenoic acids that you find in fatty fish like salmon, which are also beneficial. And you also get those omega-3 plant sources like in flaxseed oil, a little bit in walnuts, and also chia seeds can be included. So watch for this, because keep away from coconut oil. If you want to have coconut oil, use it on your hair, on your skin. Maybe that can help, but definitely not to ingest it. Another thing that we are finding is mustard oil. A lot of people in the North India, I'm not sure if it's used in Pakistan, but love to have mustard oil also in West Bengal. And we have some studies to show that it increases gallbladder cancer. So, and FDA has prevented sales of mustard oil in the United States because it also has a bad effect on the heart. So keep away from mustard oil, because we don't have a data to show that it is a beneficial oil. So what is a Mediterranean diet? Again, it's a high intake of vegetables, legumes like beans, dal, etc., fresh fruit, whole grain cereals, nuts, unsalted nuts, olive oil. And you can have a moderate consumption of fish and non-fat or low-fat dairy. People have to make sure that when you're having dairy, whole milk, if you take a cup of whole milk, compare it to a cup of skim milk, it's like putting 2 parts of butter in skim milk to make whole milk. So you can imagine the amount of saturated fat, because butter fat or milk fat is over 60% saturated. So you have to be very careful and get the skim milk or get the 1% fat milk if you don't like skim milk, but don't go above that. And keep the meat intake to a minimum. So rather than having, all these kebabs and stuff made with red meats like beef and lamb, have a little bit of chicken and maybe add legumes to it so that you don't even get too much cholesterol and fat from the chicken itself. So Mediterranean diets also has an anti-inflammatory properties and can prevent DNA damages and slow down the development of various forms of cancer and preventing cell growth. So what are we doing with our fats? We make all this wonderful food with all these wonderful spices, but then when we are frying things and we are using the fat to refry, what you're doing is you're making that oil unhealthy. What you're doing is you're increasing the amount of what's called trans fatty acids that are not good for us. Increase has a bad effect on not only cholesterol, but it's also not good. It can cause mutations in the DNA, leading to cancers. So it's very important not to be able to fry foods, deep fry, and also not to reuse that oil that has already been heated. So coconut cream, again, keep away from that. Coconut milk. Ghee is again a clarified butter. In fact, it has more saturated fat than butter. But use a lot of spices because, turmeric, which has the active ingredient called curcumin, is anti-inflammatory, antioxidative. So use them and use all the other different spices to make the food delicious without using all these fats, which are high in saturated fat. So enjoy whole grains, brown bread, whole wheat bread, millet, the bajra, vegetables, fruits, unsalted nuts, seeds, legumes, skim milk, fat-free yogurt, tofu, which is soy protein, which is very good quality protein, using more egg whites rather than egg yolks, because egg yolks have a lot of cholesterol. One large egg yolk has 180 milligrams of cholesterol. Cook with extra virgin olive oil. Use small amounts of soybean, safflower, canola oils. But you can also use nut butter. So if you want to make something sort of makhani type or creamy chicken, use a nut butter, use almond butter to make it creamy rather than using cream. It's a lot better for you. Almonds also have protein in them. It also has other potassium, magnesium, which are kind of lacking in our diet. So it's a good way of increasing other nutrients by using nuts rather than using creams and coconut milk. So avoid the ghee, butter, palm oil, coconut products, and as well as mustard oil. The other things to worry about is sunlight. You have to make sure you apply sunscreen and before you go out. And again, every 2 hours after swimming or sweating. Tobacco is like the worst thing that you can have. There's no safe level of tobacco use. It's not just what you smoke, but also what you can consume. People use tobacco to consume, which is also used the smokeless tobacco. And you've seen these outrageous commercials, advertisements on even doctors and dentists telling people to smoke. Those days are gone, and it's really important because lung cancer is a global problem, and we need to make sure that we are not smoking and also not creating problems of other people when they are exposed to secondhand smoke. Physical activity can influence cancer risk, and we have evidence to support there are various mechanisms whereby physical activity can influence cancer risk, and it's beneficial for the prevention of several types of cancer, including breast, colon, endometrial, kidney, bladder, esophageal, as well as stomach. And minimizing time spent in sedentary behavior can also lower the risk for endometrial, colon, and lung cancers. So for every 30 minutes you sit down, you have to get up and move around for 10 minutes. And this has been recommended. In fact, a recent study at Columbia has shown that for every 10 minutes, you should get up and walk around for 3 minutes. So we need to remind ourselves that we should get up instead of sitting in front of our computers for long periods of time. So diet and activity guidelines to reduce cancer risk, watching your weight, because excess body weight are associated with many cancers. Poor nutrition, eating those hamburgers. I mean, what I see these days is people bringing hamburgers to the congregations, for these community events. They pick it up from fast food places and bring it. And I think that's a dangerous way of feeding people, because you're feeding them food that's not good for them. And then just sitting around becoming couch potatoes, that's not a good thing. So all these different considerations can cause like 1 in 5 cancer cases. So overweight, obesity raises a person's risk of getting one or more types of cancer. I mean, I'm just repeating it so often so that it's really important to make sure we start watching our children. These chubby kids look nice, but then really you're not doing anything good for them. I have seen children, little children with already non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And that's because they're eating all those unhealthy foods, a lot of fast foods, sitting around in front of television and not getting any activity. So it's really very important to check on that. Balancing calories is very important. So enjoy the food, but eat less. Avoid oversized portions. Family mealtime is really important, because then children can learn how to eat vegetables when the parents are also eating. And it's sad that we are not able to have family meals because everybody is so busy. But I think there should be some attempt to make sure families get together in order to be able to share experiences with food and enjoy food. And it's important to cut back on sodium as well and drink water instead of sugary drinks. So you can make yourself and your community healthier, get screened regularly, eat healthy, be active, share healthy versions of traditional recipes. It's easy to make over recipes and they're still delicious. So I think we can all do that. And even Ramadan is around the corner. So if you're going to provide iftar meals for your family or for your community, I think this is a good place to start, just to make sure there's a lot of color on the iftar table rather than just browns and yellows with those, a lot of food which has oil floating on it. I see a lot of it at these community events. There's more oil and fat floating than things that are healthy for you. Community engagement is important. What it means is it's for bringing about environmental and behavioral changes that can promote healthy lifestyles. So it's a very powerful vehicle to get community involved. Even if it's a simple meal, it can bring in a lot of healthy options that people can feel nourished and feel good. And you will see the difference once you eat more vegetables and less fat. Actually, you feel better even after you fasted all day. So the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and the causes of and prevention of disease. This is what Thomas Edison said a long time ago. And with this, I thank you. Hopefully there are questions for me and I look forward to them.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Wahida Karmally. That was a great talk, and I'm sure me and our viewers learned so much from this. We have a lot of take-home messages. Just to recap for our viewers, Um, I mean, this was amazing. We learned, I mean, it was a great reminder about how colorful our plates need to be. I personally have been making an effort now. I mean, initially, I remember I was all for pizza and burgers because, it's easy. And, but recently I've started making my own food. So I'm sure this was a very good and healthy reminder for all our viewers that we have different options, and it can be exciting, and it's a habit. So eating healthy is not just something we can do overnight, but it's a habit which we can inculcate in our kids, in our family members, and it can develop over time. So thank you so much. I am also very glad that I did not get some coconut oil yesterday at the grocery store as recommended by friends. So yeah, that's something I learned today. I'm not going to be getting coconut oil. But thank you so much. We do have some questions for you. And our first question is, so Dr. Wahida, does sedentary lifestyle contribute to the risk factors of cancer?
Yeah, absolutely. We have so much research to show that, just sitting around becoming couch potatoes is not healthy. We've seen it not only just cancers, but with heart disease, with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So it's really important. There's a lot of connection even with the microbiome. And we're learning a lot about the microbiome and how it's related to not just cancers, but heart disease, diabetes. So it's really important to move around. I mean, there's so much data to show that physical activity is important. I mean, you don't have to buy cool clothing. You don't have to buy fancy shoes and sneakers because those can be barriers for some people. But, you can dance at home if you want. You get a bike at home. There are a lot of things, or go to the mall and have a nice brisk walk, rather than not a slow walk, but a nice brisk walk. So anything that helps moving around, cleaning your house. I mean, any activity is good.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Just get the steps in. Okay, yeah, because it's so difficult. I mean, during winters, personally, I felt like I wasn't moving much. But yeah, that's good. Thank you. We do also, I would like to mention with our viewers, I recently downloaded an app. I don't know if you know about it, Dr. Vahida, but there's so many apps these days. Fitness Pal. It's amazing. We can keep account of our calories and our intake. So that would be great if we could.
Yeah, you can measure your number of steps you get, because what's recommended is 10,000 steps a day. Okay. So it feels good when you're looking and say, oh, you've achieved something today.
Yeah. Okay. Second question, Dr. Vahida. Is using the same oil multiple times for frying or eating processed food, could these things lead to, could they play a role in mutations in our body?
Yeah, we have studies to show that a lot of them are in rodents, but they've also shown that, reheating oils, you have these changes in the oil, have the increase in trans fat, but also the oil gets oxidized, and it can also have an effect on cancers, breast cancer. But they've also shown that, when you're reheating oil or heating oil at high temperatures, just those fumes can also have an effect and can have an effect on lung cancer. So it's not a healthy way of eating using oils that have been reheated several times.
Oh my God, that was a common practice. And I've seen it happen with French fries in almost every household.
Yes, in French fries, you get the effects of not only those oxidants, but also you get the acrylamide, because acrylamide, it's found in the potatoes. And if you're going to heat it at high temperatures, that's kind of has a very bad effect on increasing the risk for cancers as well as other diseases.
Wow, that's something new. I'm sure I learned today, and even our viewers. Wow, thank you. So Dr. Vahida, one more question for you. What may be included in quick healthy habits considering our fast-paced lifestyle these days and how people have to go to work early in the morning and they get back tired and they really don't have time for exercise. Do you have any ideas, recommendations for them?
It's the exercise, yes, and you have to really plan. Today's Sunday, so let's make tomorrow a healthy Monday. So you can start doing it. Think of breakfast. If you're really rush, you can do prepare it tonight for a breakfast. It can be overnight oats. You know, oatmeal can be prepared so quickly in the microwave. You can add some almond flour to it. You can add some chia seeds to it. You can add some cardamom. It tastes like heat to me. I love it. And so that's a good way of having. You can, if you can make a lot of meals on a weekend and keep it ready. If you have washed tomatoes ready, washed carrots ready, it's so quickly to bag them and take them as a snack in your backpack. If you made a meal for dinner, you can make a bowl with the brown rice and the chicken, whatever you made, and some vegetables and take it with you. So there are ways, but you have to plan over the weekend. You can also make it in bulk and freeze food in individual containers. You can make the masalas and put it in your ice cube trays. So you can pop out a cube each time you want to make something and be fast. So there are ways but it needs planning. When you go to the grocery store, don't go hungry because then you end up buying all the wrong foods. And you want to buy foods that you can open quickly and eat. So go after a meal, make a list of what you need for the week. Make sure you go to the vegetable aisles first and choose vegetables that are on sale. You could do that. You can even buy frozen. In fact, frozen vegetables without any fat added to it is very healthy because these freezing plants are close to farms, so they don't have to travel much. They go right to be frozen, cleaned and frozen, and they're ready for your table. So you can do that, and it's so easy to open up frozen vegetables and make a one-pot dish, and which is I do it all the time because I don't want to wash too many things. Although my husband helps me with that, but I like to cook in one pot. So one pot has my vegetables, if I want my whole wheat pasta to be, I can put my tofu in it. I can put chickpeas in it, and use extra virgin olive oil, and it's done. It's a great meal. It can be used the next day as well. So there are very quick ways of doing it, but it definitely requires planning. And you have to think of all the considerations for the family, what they enjoy. I think enjoying is very important. I think people love to eat their food, enjoy it. I wouldn't take away the enjoyment from anyone, but you can also be adventurous.
Wow, well said, Dr. Wahida, well said. And I totally relate to that. Never go to the grocery store hungry. Been there, done that. Yes. Yes, thank you so much. One more thing, Dr. Wahida. A lot of people think that cancer is related to genetics. So does the role of diet change our genetic makeup, or can we defy our genes by having a healthy diet?
Yeah, you can definitely defy your genes. Absolutely. The detrimental effect of genetic risk can be attenuated by adherence to a healthy lifestyle. And it's never too late. It's never too late to lose weight. It's never too late to switch to healthier foods. So it can be. You can definitely defy your genetic risk by adhering to a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, yeah. So we need to eat healthy. It's never too late. Okay,
it's never too late. Yes.
Yeah. So Monday is a great day to start for everyone. Okay. So one more thing, Dr. Wahida. Losing weight after menopause can help reduce the risk of cancer. Is that true?
It is true. It is true. What the studies have shown also, it was a pooled data. It was published by the American Cancer Society and the Harvard School of Public Health. And they showed that more weight women lost, the lower the risk of breast cancer. So even after menopause, it's never too late. Just remember, those are the words to remember. It's never too late to lose weight. So don't say, oh God, I'm already old and I'm postmenopausal and I shouldn't be bothered. No, you should be bothered because it's going to help.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was so informative and we learned so much. We do have a few more questions from our viewers. One of the questions, Dr. Veda, is this is a great question, I think. It's regarding air fryers. Do you think they're better than frying something in like deep frying stuff?
Sure, you're using less oil. Yes, air fryers are definitely better. You can do that if you want to make your food a little crisp, but don't burn it, because then you're going to again introduce some carcinogens. So yes, it's definitely a better option.
Okay.
A lot better option.
A lot better option. Yeah, and it's fun too. I think we can make so many things, fries and chicken tikka. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think I have one more question for you, Dr. Vahida. So some of our participants want to know, is a high potassium and low sodium diet always a good option with people with hypertension?
Absolutely. We're just not getting enough potassium in our diet. It's one of those shortfall nutrients in the American diet. Yes, we are, and we're eating too much sodium. Okay. So we have to think of ways where we can, again, if you look at the whole diet, bringing in vegetables, which are high in potassium and low in sodium, bringing in nuts, which are high in potassium, low in sodium, just doing these things. And if you're using, a right mixture of herbs and spices, you will see that you don't need that salt on your plate. You will enjoy the taste of the vegetable, the taste of the nut, without having it to be drenched with salt. So it's really good to be. We are not getting enough potassium, and we should make an attempt to increase our potassium intake.
Okay, well, I hope that answers Maria Mohammadi's question. Thank you so much. We have another question from Daniel. So Daniel Zahid wants to know, a very interesting question. What is the risk of cancer in males? Are males more prone to cancer than women?
No, I think it looks like, yes, it looks like there are some more cancers depending on which one you look at. If you're looking at breast cancer, it's women. If you're looking at lung cancer, it's men. So, of course, there are, specific organ cancers, the prostate cancer. So, yes, in general, both men and women have, but depending on which organ you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, there are different types of cancers for different genders.
It's not that men don't get breast cancer, and they do, but it's generally the women.
Agreed. It's a popular myth that males can't get breast cancer, but I agree. Well, we have somebody sharing their thoughts regarding eating together, having family time. So Khadija Fazil thinks that at get-together, colored foods on the table at any time will not be welcomed, unfortunately. I guess everyone has a preference.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why she's saying that. Because if children see from an early age parents enjoying it, they want to experiment it. And even if the child for the first time refuses to eat, don't force it on the child. Reintroduce it after some time again, and tell the child, take a bite. You don't have to eat the whole thing. Just take a bite, see if you enjoy it, because mom and dad love it, and you may also like it, and it may take some time for you to enjoy it. I think you have to start that way, not threaten the child. If it's not welcome the first time, that's fine. But it's really important to bring on those different vegetables. Maybe they would like a snap pea and they would like it raw. Maybe they like a piece of carrot that's raw. But you have to try, and they're going to. There's no reason. You can't give up. You can't just say, I made all this stuff, I'm not going to make it again because my child won't eat it. You will find that the child will eat it at some point.
That's a very healthy way of thinking about it, Dr. Veda. And I guess it's all about effort, making an effort with the kids and investing time.
Yeah, and even after school, when the kids come, I know I have done it for my child. I would make a pretty plate. I would sort of make it a designed plate with a lot of vegetables that she likes or would try to eat, put in some low-fat cheese with it, and keep it as a snack when she came from school. You can do it for your child. Even if you're sending a lunch to school on the lunch bag, put on a sticker or something, a nice, a happy face, and see if the child would, be interested in eating some carrot sticks or a yellow or red pepper or whatever. But you can try. There are different ways of trying, but when the child is hungry too, if you're going to keep Twinkies around, the child will go and take the Twinkies.
Yeah.
But if you're going to keep a pretty plate with some vegetables decorated, washed, and also keep it at the height the child can reach. If you open the fridge and if the apples are stuck right on top, the child cannot reach it. But if you keep it washed, clean, and keep it at a level the child can reach for it, the child is going to eat it.
Wow, Dr. Veda, those are great incentives. The stickers on lunch boxes. Yeah, I think a lot of people will be trying that. Okay. Oh, wow. We have another question. So Dr. Veda, is hair dye a carcinogen?
That hasn't been shown, but I don't know yet. I think we should stay tuned.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I guess those are all the questions we have for now. And yeah, one of our viewers says this was very informative. Thank you so much. But that was a very informative talk, Dr. Vahida. We learned so much. And thank you for giving us all the ideas on how we can eat healthy and have healthy habits. I think all our viewers must have learned something new today. I hope they learned something new today and they will be making a change in their daily routine. I think one of the ideas which I recently experienced personally as well with my friends, I mean, it was winter time over here. A lot of us have friends who are going back home. I mean, if you're at school or in a university and you need things to do, a fun activity could even be cooking together as friends.
Yeah.
So I recently did that with my friends because it was winter time and we were just like, what do we do together? So we decided to make a healthy meal.
We are at Columbia. We started for physicians, residents who came to my lab and to cook a healthy meal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and talk about it a little bit, why they're doing it. And I also had, I used to have lectures for medical residents, when they're so busy, they don't have time to eat what they could eat. At times they just ate chocolate chip cookies because that's the only thing they had, or their patients offered it to them. And so to be able to talk, but it's wonderful, Dr. Manahil, that you are there and you're so motivated. We need physicians like you. And even if you spend 15 seconds telling a patient on a healthy lifestyle, makes a difference. And I've had residents who ask me, what can we say when we have only 15 minutes with the patient? What can we say in 30 seconds? And even if you say, just make sure half your plate is filled with colored vegetables. So if your patient goes food shopping, they say, my doc said, get different colored vegetables, even if they're white vegetables. Put in those onions, those garlic. They're really good for you. They also have cancer protecting chemicals in them. So I think you physicians, you, Dr. Huma Naqvi, etc., can have a huge impact on your patients just by spending 15 seconds encouraging them to eat healthfully.
Agreed. Totally.
As well as exercise.
Of course, I totally agree with that. I think exercise is also, it goes hand in hand. And thank you so much, Dr. Wahida. We are so delighted to have you today, and we learned a lot. So I would like to thank you, the entire team, Dr. Huma, Sir Asher, and Varda for organizing this event. I just wanted to let our viewers know that our next event, our next talk will be a lecture next month on cervical cancer. So please stay tuned in and join us for our next guest speaker. With that, I would like to end our conversation today, and I hope all the viewers enjoyed it, and we will be back with more.
Thank you.
Thank you.